Well, thank you for coming on the red carpet round table.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, brother.
You're very welcome. Can you tell a brief detail about yourself and what got you into this entertainment
Um,
industry?
my name is Anthony L. Fernandez. I am a professional actor. I have just crossed the 11-year mark, I believe, of 12 years now, actually, of being SAG union professional actor. I lived a pretty wild, adventurous, crazy life from the time I was young. I grew up single mother on welfare with my brother, and she was always working very hard to provide for us and moving around from place to place. And long story short, when I got into my adolescence, I started running the streets more and getting into trouble. And I go hard at everything. It's just always been my personality. So I figure if I'm out in the streets banging and slanging, I was going to be the best at that. But that lifestyle, catches up with you after a while, and it caught up with me pretty quick because I started so young. And I remember around 1920, I told one of my best friends I was up north, and I told my buddy, I was like, if I don't go back down to LA, for the opportunity for my family being close, then I'm gonna die or I'm gonna go to jail, real talk. And so I made the trip back down 1998, 99 with my best friend. He was following me in his car down just by chance. His uncle lived in Orange. My mother was living in Costa Mesa, I think, at the time. So I was like, cool, you're right there. So we went down and I worked a legit job. I was trying to stay out of trouble, and my buddy ended up getting a job bouncing at a nightclub in Anaheim, California, called the Boogie. It's actually the place where they filmed the opening scene to the original Roadhouse. It was called
Wow.
the Bandstand back then. If you look at the movie with the original, you'll see it's called the Bandstand at the beginning. So. Uh, f- Fast forward, I got a job on 1999, fresh 21. I was a bouncer at the nightclub, and I just was living the life, man. I became a manager there. It was fights, it was excitement, it was partying, it was making money, it was everything that a 21-year-old could want. And it weaned me off the streets, though. I got to go home at night. I got to get paid for something that, even if it was a little out of control, the tough guy type stuff, I was with it. And so it was great. But flash forward again, 2006. Now they end up closing the club because it's just too many complaints, problems. The police, they want to shut us down, and they finally did. And so, at that year, I was expecting a new newborn baby on the way. I had a new son, 8-year-old son that I was taking care of now, and a new family. And with the money, I never really did anything as far as school. So I didn't have a degree. I didn't have a profession that I could say I was proud of, and I really needed to provide because I was just going down kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'll go back to school. I never really gave college a try. So I went back to a community college, Cypress College in Orange County, California. And I was going for what I thought would be a business degree just to get in something. I didn't have a vision or a goal. I was into music, had the bald head, and I had a studio that finally I was like, I shut that down. So the ego, the emotions, all of that was down at that point in time. And as an elective in college, I chose acting, and it helped reconnect me to emotion. And I always loved movies that helped me as a kid growing up from place to place. There was always a constant. And so I discovered this passion for it, and I went with it, and I studied for like 3 years. And at the end of it, I was like, I know I said I was going to go out for a business degree, but Hollywood's right there, and I've seen it, and it's real. And I think I'm going to do that first. And that was like my last Hail Mary for me to be happy knowing who I was. I couldn't sit in fluorescent lights my entire life. So I had to make the dream happen. And so I started, I mean, Craigslist. I did background. I went to Central Casting. Every single opportunity I could get, I drove to take classes. I did weekend emotionals, Thursday night showcases. I really dove into it hard. I acquired an agent, and I was working non-union. And then It was small goals, but that is what got me into acting.
Wow. Amazing journey and a testimony journey of a struggle in your lifetime and getting back in your life a little bit and then another struggle and then you went from there to way up here in your career, in your life. And it talks about your testimony talks about a lot of use, meaning is a lot of young teenagers and kids out there. It doesn't matter what state they're living in. They can turn around in the same journey like you did, turn their life around and continue a positive journey. And that's what we need to hear. We really can do that. And that is a journey we can help with the society, with your story. Because whatever you want to do in your career, whatever it is, be a police officer, be a firefighter, be a doctor, EMSA, be an actor, an actress, producer, director, a singer, etc. Your testimony talks about I was so low in my life that you told yourself, I gotta get out before it's too late.
Yes.
That is a good instinct. That is a
Yes.
good instinct that was telling you, hey, you keep going down this road, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
And you listen to it. You listen to it, and here you are. What a testimony. What a
Thank
100% testimony. That
thank
thank you for sharing that. That was powerful.
thank you.
Um, I want to dig into because not many people know this, of course, other than like myself, who is a big college football game day guy, ESPN.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about this. How was it like being on commercial, being at college game day? There you are wearing your cowboy hat with your sunglasses on, and there you are. And to me, after hearing your story, that right there was a chill moment for me to hear this because you, like I said, were going down in a career. If you did not turn around, you would not be what I'm saying. You would not be on ESPN. You would not be doing this.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about this up here moment when you're going uphill. And I know I probably missed some other parts to it, but we'll get into that. But let's talk about the ESPN. Everybody was you were there on college campuses. Let's talk about that moment.
Man, it's surreal. It's still sometimes overwhelming, not just in that moment, but the gravity, the mantle, the care that people have given me. The resources, the life-changing belief that I can deliver, and that they saw the light shining through me, and I still live in it. It's an amazing thing. It started out as just a regular audition. I chose character choices, and I wanted to represent being Chicano at the same time, not follow stereotypes and give honor to who I am too as a person and the characters that I can create as a character actor as well. And it was very, very tense, very emotional going through the process. The first year, I got to fly overseas to Europe, and we filmed there, and it was amazing. And the commercials dropped, I want to say around the end of August last year, September 1st. And I got the intro as the Modelo recruiter, recruits fans on for college football, and the run was successful. I was in Vegas, and they were dropping the commercial everywhere. I literally got to do the toast atop the stage of Allegiant on at the the Modelo Las Vegas Kickoff Classic, the opener. And the rest of the year, I made appearances. The commercial one run was amazing. it inspired us to do even more with this character. And so we just wrapped on what we're going to deliver for this next year. And I'm
Mhm.
excited, and more appearances and ESPN and Fox and more to come this year.
Amazing, amazing. Um, to be honest, I gotta brag about you wearing those sunglasses and the cowboy hat. You
Mm,
look cool,
thank
like a cowboy back in the Western days.
thank you.
I'm just serious. And um, I gotta ask, and people may be wondering, who is your favorite college football team?
Well, I'm a little bit biased in this category. My favorite team would have to be Fresno State. My son, who is now 26 years old, he is a fireman in Northern California. He just graduated from the academy and started work as a fireman. So I'm really proud of him. But his journey was right before high school ended. He played football faithfully. And, we really didn't know what deals we're going to go through. But at the last second, a new coach at Fresno State came through, and one of his coaches came down and they scouted Andrew, and he got a 5-year full ride scholarship. And yeah, and I went to every game I could. We were cheering him on, home game, aways, and he got a great degree. At the end of it, 2020 happened, so they offered him another year extended. But I got to respect this as a man because I've seen so much of the macho thing in all of us. But he literally was offered you want another year to play, but he was like, that's not for me. And there's so many men that live in that masculine dream of like, oh, if coach would have put me in. And sometimes it breaks guys. And, we never love that. So I really respect the fact that he tried something, he got a degree, and then he went on to something else. But yeah, Fresno, man, I got to give it up. It would have been Washington State University was one of my family teams because my mother had
Okay.
gone. But yeah, yeah.
I gotta ask real quick. Um, Where was the best place you got to go with ESPN? Where was the best college football stadium you went to?
Oh man, I think Atlanta was pretty cool.
Okay.
Ohio was Ohio was cool. It was just really cold. Where the Mercedes-Benz is just an amazing structure.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that it's just like but I mean, when you're talking about rivalries, I'm not sure, man. The USC, that opener, man, they have some rivals that want to,
Yeah.
put.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm proud of you. I really am.
It's
It's
yeah, to me like looking up and seeing the fans and then that character to be given that power where on those game days, I see the fans out there and I give them that look and it's not much. It's just I give them a little look in that and when they're noticing and there's this real connection that as an actor you
mhm.
never really get unless you're on stage and even then you're
Right.
performing the world so they can view it. But the interaction is amazing, especially when you know that it's coming from somewhere that's not just, a regular guy that they hired to portray.
Right, right.
Is like, I heard that all the time too in travel. Are you really the guy? You get a picture. Are you really the guy? I'm like, yeah, I'm really the
Well,
guy.
the one thing I want to leave off with that is that, um, with your testimony at the
Mhm.
very beginning, and I have to keep saying it because it's powerful. I really do. And you are going to impact all these college students in any campus
Yeah,
because when they find out or whoever whoever tells them your story,
yeah,
eventually, generations and generations, you're going to impact them because when they leave college, you hope they go the right path, not going down the path, not going the wrong direction,
yeah,
and that's the story. And especially people who don't go to college yet, that's the story we need to hear. So you are 100% a testimony, a powerful testimony for a lot of young kids out there, especially girls, to
yeah.
go the right path. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have daughters. I want them to be strong and safe and be able to have fun in a world that,
Hmm.
try and stop that around every corner. There's going to be some sort of temptation or something you can't control. So you try to
Right.
instill in them, but they watch what you do. Not necessarily everything that you say is going to, be repeated if you're
Hmm.
same thing. And same with my son. You just want them to go out into the world and be able to conquer it and take it on the way that you did, but
Right.
safe environment. And
Hmm.
especially to, the kids that did grow up like me, the ones who didn't really have a dad around or
Right.
positivity, is that you really can turn it around at any
Hmm.
moment. You can go from being in the
Yeah.
gun and then you can be on the top floor and access to, and it's because it's just a lot of different components, but in the end of it, it's just like you making that decision
Hmm.
and you following through, showing up, because my life has also been blessed with so many people that were put in place to open doors for me to get me through to the next step, to the next stage, who took, that had faith in me that I would, be able to rise to the occasion and
Hmm.
stand and deliver. And I feel good because that's all I ever wanted, and I have. I believe that, my resume of work, it shows that, wow, I just look at it myself sometimes and I'm like, wow, the shows I've gotten to work on and the amazing actors I've gotten to work with. And then, my entire career wasn't always the most successful commercial wise. I had a few great commercials here and there, but then to nail a campaign, and that was just the ultimate,
Hmm.
so the past couple of years now, I really, I'm still working. We got projects coming out, still auditioning, but in this stage of my life, I'm just really enjoying friends and family and
Amen.
doing the juggle. And
Hmm. Well, I was going to ask you what was the most pivoted moment in your life, but I believe, me personally, you already answered that question in the very beginning.
well, the funny thing about my story is, even before that, there's times where I shouldn't be here. I really don't take my presence and existence for granted. And I thank God that He had something better for me and kept me alive in so many situations, even before I made that call. That was pretty much the reason I made that call, was like my life had just spiraled kind of out of control. And, it's tough when you deal with things, even prior experiences always, you never understand what it's for, but now, you realize that you're being built, you're being stripped down, rebuilt stronger. And um, for those of us that really can survive through it with the help of people and yourself and make it through, I just always tell people one more day. It seems so overwhelming, but keep going one more day. And it's like, if I can make it one more day, because I always knew that there was something bigger and better if I had that chance. But we have to be honest sometimes too, even if
Hmm.
you're situation, you get up off the couch, you go and you chase your dream, you figure out what you do no matter
You
where
said it right there.
there you go, brother, right there.
Amen. Amen. You said it right there. Go chase your dreams. Go chase your dreams. Don't give up. Keep the courage. Keep the faith. And, I believe in God too, and I'm a believer in Jesus. So, as long as you believe in faith, you believe in God, you can
Yeah.
do it.
And
Amen.
still to this day, the proof is in it. That's why no one can say anything to me, because all the situations I've been through and everything, it's like I know that there's not many people that kind of have these situations of life or death
Hmm.
struggles and experiences. And then a lot of people do, but it's what you do with it, whether you can change that, whether I don't know, whether the stars are in the sky, but like you have to have faith. Otherwise,
Right.
those are the moments where you aren't in control, where you have.
Yes. 100%.
So yeah.
I want to talk about, you already talked about your upcoming with ESPN, but any other upcoming acting roles that you're allowed to talk about?
One that we're promoting right now is from the Watch Studios. It was an independent, but I think that we hit gold. I think it's like a hood comedy. They say Friday. I hate comparisons, but when we were making it, the feel that we were getting on set, we filmed in Frogtown down in LA, and the vibe of everything, it has to do with gentrification. The director, Chris Leva, uh, he, I worked with him a couple times. He's an amazing director, and this was one of those moments in Hollywood too. I love it because I came up working very much as an actor, putting time into my craft and characters, and the industry now is a lot of social media. And so there are some people that I really have respect for. They gained a crowd, a following, created characters, jumped right into the pool and, started acquiring followers. So some of the stars that are on this one with me are like Concrete. He's very funny. If people don't know, go to his Instagram, Concrete Live. He's a very funny comedian and he's very talented as far as character acting. Duno as well. He's on the Brown Bag podcast, and um, Jerry Garcia, a very funny stand-up comedian, and Jay Valentino. So there were a bunch of talented young Chicanos that got together and
Hmm. Hmm.
movie Horchata with oat milk. Uh, and it's just a narrative on the gentrification that's going on in LA, in East LA neighborhoods, as well as all around the world. So it's very relevant. It's a comedy. I get to play one of these goons in here called Spider, and I had a blast filming it with everybody. So right now they have the rights. They want to screen it. They want to keep everything and really make it command ownership of the product, even though they're still willing to, talk about further distribution. They can,
Right.
it's horchata with oatmilk.com.
And I totally understand if you can't tell much details about it because I 100% understand and wish you could, but hey, we got it. We know the rules.
I take that very seriously. People spend a lot of money on hiding certain things for the right reveal, for the right.
Hmm.
So I love the passion and craft, and I love talking about it and telling people, oh my gosh. But at the same time, in the business, you have to respect
Right.
people's.
That's the truth. In the business, you got to keep it hush hush. You can't tell your friends, "Hey friends, this is what happened." No, I can't do it. Then your friends you'll be like, then they start spreading it and they're like, "Who did you hear it from?" It's like, "Oh no."
Yeah,
Right?
in the business that has happened a couple times. I won't blow them up, but you'll see because everyone kind of knows each other, and you'll see. I've seen posts before where they went up, and as quick as they went up, they went down. It's like you kind of get why too, though. It's like somebody probably reached out and was like, they need to take that down. So even me, I walk a fine line with the Modelo Recruiter. I love putting out bits and pieces, but in constant rotation and promotion. That's just something that like a little behind the scenes, a little of this, but no big reveals. I still have stuff from last year that will slowly come out, this year, just because now I'm finally like, is it safe? Okay, it's safe. Okay, we'll post this. But that's the business.
Like I like how you were like, "This is safe. I can come out. I
Yeah.
can tell."
It's only been 5 years now, and I think I can promote this. Yeah, yeah. No.
So, um, I gotta ask, what is the most funniest audition you've ever done?
That has to be the one I had worked. Okay, the very first real thing that I had done studio wise was a perp walk on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That same year, at the end of the year, I believe I did an audition for what I got, The Wedding Ringer. And I was still grasping comedy. Um, and I didn't know really who or what it was, but I knew it was a Sony. It was a great, okay, I'm getting this audition. And he was a tough guy. He was like a cholo, and I read it and then I read it a little further and I was like, oh, this guy's gay. And so I was looking for these parts of the jokes and I was like, but you're straight. Okay, he's a cholo though. So I'm trying to fit these combinations in. It is a funny read, it's a funny scene and everything. And so we did the first read, and I got a call back. And like I said, I really still didn't understand the comedy of it or whatever. But then they bring me in to read with Ignacio, who was also in it. He played the other guy. And so during the scene, we did it. It was funny. We were kind of riffing off of each other. The casting directors loved it and everything. And then, like, one of those things that you didn't control, like right at the end, very, very end, I realized that my fly was open. I don't know whether they noticed. I didn't know, in the moment, it's not a big, like you play quick. And I looked at one of the casting directors and I zipped it up and like kind of threw a wink. And I thought that that was just a funny sort of thing, almost like, did he know? And it's one of those things of like in the room, you turn like something that would have been terrible into something that was just fun that probably helped get me the job because it showed that I was so playful with it, even though this tough guy comes in and that's what they want. And that was one of the funniest auditions literally that I had, because it kind of broke the ice for me saying like, okay, you have to enjoy this. If you don't enjoy this, if you don't find something, if you're always walking in the room tense, if you don't find moments of joy like that, then it can go bad. And it has. There's been some auditions where I don't know if it's a vibe. I don't know if you're underprepared. I mean, I will accept responsibility maybe for some of those auditions, but yeah, to this day, you still hear many professionals say that like the audition process is awkward. I've gotten used to it a little bit more, and then after 2020, we were dying to get back in rooms and human connection. So I love the self-tape audition.
Hmm.
I will go in if it's an in-person, and I see the balance between the good uses for it and not. If it's like 500,000 people for a first round and maybe they can send a tape. If you're down to the last 20, maybe you want to see them.
Wow. That was so funny. I can't believe nobody said anything.
Oh yeah, well, but they don't. We're in the middle of it, and it would be something. It would have been one of those things psychologically where if I would have known, it could have literally gone bad. The energy could have just switched, and it's happened before. Like you start feeling a certain way, you start projecting that. Other people where they could be smiling and engaged, all of a sudden just feel this awkwardness of whatever it is you're doing. And for me, that was just a funny thing that it was. It was a reminder, that's why I do remember that story because it was in the moment. It was something that couldn't have been like, it was almost like I said, it was an empowerment because then the casting director may have been like,
Hmm.
did they do that? Are they that bold? Can they? And it proves that yeah, you can be that bold. You can make those type of choices. Walk the line. It shouldn't always entail the zipper and the fly and the wink and stuff, but that was, what I had in the moment.
Hmm.
It was very funny off of the scene that we worked in. These guys that, my character was so he was tattooed and macho, but he's asking these guys if they wanted nachos. And it actually turned out to be one of my great, great years, man. That's one of those ones where God has hands on you because The Wedding Ringer was a huge movie. I got a great scene fresh out my first professional year with SAG with Kevin Hart and Josh Gad, Ignacio Serraccio. And it was amazing. I got to walk the red carpet. I got to do all of that big stuff. And Jeremy Garelick, the director, he was amazing. He let us know at the first screening that they cut everything down and it was beautiful, but they still had 3 hours. And they had to start hacking it down. And he told people, he was like, if your scene's not in it, it had nothing to do with your performance. But, I saw like on one of his Instagram posts before it came out, he was testing my scene. And that scene right there, even they kept it in the movie and invited me back for another shoot I wasn't scheduled for to be included in the very, very ending of that. So, amazing, funny people
That's amazing.
that's odd. The same year I said Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now that's another funny story. I went and did a perp walk. I think the line was with Andy Samberg. He came in hungover and not the actor, the character, his character. And I'm doing a perp walk and I'm yelling like, "You'll never catch me! You'll never catch!" And the guy with the voice, right? And uh, and I was so excited when it came out, but then I realized they dubbed my voice and they edited it so quick that you barely saw like my face. And I took it I was so crushed. I was like, you want it for your reel, so you need good FaceTime. You want that line, you booked it. So that was literally the first job that I ever got. But everyone was great on set. Andy was great on set. I think his line after that was like, "Hey, buddy, we already got you." So that was it though. That was my huge starting like debut with SAG and Union and but I laugh now because it crushed me so much, but it really didn't affect my career. It gave me a great experience on set. It gave me a great first for my resume. And then I'm like, I believe a week ago or 3 days ago, I just got, a little residual check from it still playing. And so it's like the money still keeps coming in. So I hate on no experience. I hate on, but these are funny little stories that build it. And then I've just always been if something happens wrong, not again, I'll learn, I learn pretty fast and maneuver through Hollywood.
That's amazing. That is 100% amazing. Well, thank you for sharing all your testimony. Much appreciated.
Mhm.
Where can people find you and get a hold of you?
You can find me actually, the one I post on the most is Instagram, actor Anthony L. Fernandez, all lowercase, all one word, actor Anthony L. Fernandez. I am on Facebook, Anthony L. Fernandez. And you can Google me now. I just, that's the whole reason I threw that L in there too, just because I always like the Sam Jacksons. I always like, but lately it's been Anthony Fernandez. And I thought it was such a universal sounding name that, like, man, there's going to be tons, but it's actually very flattering now because if you make yourself like, oh, that's Anthony Fernandez and I'm the one they're talking about, then, I love it. I'm just blessed to be here. I just thank my family, friends, and fans. And yeah, just keep watching out for me. We have more to come.
Well, I appreciate you coming on,
Thank
and
you.
I definitely cannot wait to have you back on again.
Sure, we got more to cover.
Yes, yes, I would love to have you back on.
Yeah.
And again, your testimony was powerful.
Thank you. I mean it.
For sharing that.
We all will face challenges in life, but if you have a dream, you can accomplish it. You are not bound by your neighborhood. You're not bound by your state. As big as you want your life to be, you can make it. And
Hmm.
even today, I really, I still have friends that all this time that I've been climbing this ladder that have been passing. And even recently, there's still been one or two that have just passed. So you don't waste time. Follow your dream, figure
Amen.
out.
And go for it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. I would love to have you back because there's more we want to talk about.
So
And I definitely want to stay in touch with you, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you again. Let's definitely stay in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
I know. Thank you.
Bye bye.